Hey guys, I'm Jessie, and we are here to talk about all the books I read in the year of March. Seriously, I'm pretty sure March lasted 7 years. Like, it was so different from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. Like, the beginning of March, it was great. My daughter turned 7. We bought season passes to Legoland. We spent the weekend there for her birthday. It was glorious. And then the world shut the fuck down. And chaos ensued, and we are under state-ordered stay at home and working from home, and schools are closed, and the world has changed in the year of March 2020. But we're not going to let it get us down. We are going to keep moving forward, hoping for the best, staying at home, and doing what we can to help flatten the curve. We're going to talk about the 7 books that I read in the month of March. Out of those, 4 of them were YA, 3 were adult. I had no ratings lower than a 3-star, which fabulous reading month, if I do say so myself. I enjoyed absolutely everything. Some of the books were a lower 3, but I had a really good month and enjoyed everything. So the first book that I read was Water's Wrath, which is the 4th book in the Air Awakens series. It is a 5-book series that follows Vala. She is a librarian turned magician, basically. She unknowingly awakens a magic inside of her that hasn't been seen in like hundreds of years. And because of that, she is wanted, she is hunted, they try to use her, they try to kill her, and it is glorious. It is such a good series. I gave this one a high 3.5 stars. It was so much fun. And I'm super excited to read the next book in the series, which is the last book in this first Air Awakens series. There is actually a second whole series set in this same world years after the events of the first series. So I'm excited for that. I've been reading it on Kindle Unlimited, so it's basically free to read, and I highly recommend you pick it up. Kindle Unlimited is great for one thing. I'm loving it. I did the 99 cents for 3-month trial, and I will be paying for it once that trial is up because it is so fun. It's let me try a lot of self-pub authors and smaller indie pub authors, and I love that. It's such a great way to get ebooks at very little cost, because like I said, I just picked up a whole 5-book series and read it and didn't have to pay. And I think the normal pay is $9 a month, $10 a month, and if you read 1 or 2 books, it kind of pays for itself. So I think it's an excellent idea, and I definitely recommend picking up the Air Awakens series by Elise Gova because it's great. The next book that I read, I did read as a physical book, but I let my niece borrow it because we're on lockdown and she loves to read, so I send along a lot of my books to her, and that is Sky in the Deep, which is a standalone YA fantasy. I say fantasy loosely because there is 0 magical elements in this story. It's cute though. I gave it a 3 stars as well. I already picked up The Girl the Sea Gave Back, which is not a second book in the series because it's a standalone, but it's set years after, I believe, this book is, and totally new characters and everything, but it's just a book set years later in the same world, which I'm really enjoying that because I just think that's a really fun way to not do a series but continue on with the world that you have created, to give more in-depth knowledge. This was a really cute story about this girl, and she's a Viking warrior, and there are 2 feuding tribes, and they go to war once every 7 years, and this is during their warring time, and she swears that she sees her dead brother on the battlefield fighting for the opposite side. And come to find out, she may be right. And she gets taken by this other tribe when she tries to find her brother. And she ends up having to be a slave in their encampment. And she just learns their ways, learns about this tribe that she thought was so different than hers, but really are they? There's a love story in it. It's so good. She's definitely a like badass female character. The love story is great, but it's not like pining, and it's not like traditional YA love story wise, which I loved that about the book. There were some questions I still had once the book wrapped up. Some things that I thought were kind of plot holes, but it really wasn't that deep. Like, there were questions, but nothing that like perturbed me so much that I didn't like the book. It was good. It was a cute standalone. I enjoyed it. I read it super quickly. 3 out of 5 stars. It was a fun read. The next book that I read is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This was a really fun YA dystopian. It's set in a futuristic world where we have conquered death, and there are people called Scythes who cull the population. Sounds pretty simple. Sounds like it would be super bloody, but it's really not like as gory and bloody and violent as I thought the world would be. But that's probably because it's YA. But I enjoyed reading a good like dystopian because I haven't read dystopian books in a long time, and I used to love them and read like exclusively dystopian back in the day when like the Hunger Games was coming out and like it was all new and fresh, and I loved it. So it's kind of cool to read another dystopian, and I really, really liked this. I gave it a 4 stars. I really like Rowan and Citra, the 2 apprentices that we follow. They are both unwilling Scythe apprentices, which actually makes them perfect for the job because they don't want people to be Scythe that like the kill. So that's a really interesting plot point for me, is they're unwilling. Like, they're gonna do it, but not because they enjoy it. So that's really fun. You get to see all manner of Scythe and Scythedom, people that do enjoy it, people that definitely don't. Kind of the political underbelly of this world is what really intrigued me. So I will definitely be reading the second book, which is Thunderhead, very, very soon. I just picked it up from Book Outlet, so definitely going to be reading that soon. The final YA book that I read this month was Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Again, this was such a fun read. I love superheroes. I love the Marvel movies. I love like The Boys on Amazon. Like, it's just fun. And this is definitely reminiscent of Marvel to me. Like, the Renegades are kind of like this universe's Avengers. And we're following Nova, who is kind of our anti-hero, which, you know, I love an anti-hero. I love gray characters, and there's filled with grayness, and I love it because we're following her as she kind of infiltrates the Renegades, so the good guys, and she comes to actually like some of them, like befriend them, but she's torn between like her mission and these people that she just met, and she's very internally struggling with it, which I love seeing. There's some great twists. Some of the good guys might not be so good. Some of the bad guys might not be so bad. And it's definitely a really fun world. I also picked up the second of this series on Book Outlet, so I will be reading that very, very soon. The next 3 books I picked up were all adult books that I have read. 2 of them were super, super dark. And just no. 2 of these are dark. 1 of them is super high epic fantasy. And these are my 3 favorite books of the month. Take what with it as you will. I guess I'm really into dark books lately. The first one is Child of a Mad God by R.A. Salvatore. This I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. Again, I really loved it. It's about this girl, Eowyn, and it starts when she's 3 and it follows her till I believe she's 21. And she lives on top of a mountain with this tribe, and it's a brutal patriarchal society. Like, the hunters of the tribe go down to the surrounding villages at the base of this mountain and pillage and plunder and take their supplies. They capture slaves, they kill people. Like, it's brutal. There's definitely sexual assault, violence, like, you name it, this book has it. So go into it knowing, but it is so well written. And I really enjoyed it. Eowyn we watch her grow, which is great. I love that. And she really comes into the magic in this book, because even though it is a very patriarchal society, women are very important in their world because they are the witches. They are the ones that possess magic. And there is a coven of 13 witches, no more. So Eowyn is trying to get her spot, basically, in this society, being a witch. And come to find out, she is very, very in tune with the magic of this world. So that's really fun. There's also a secondary storyline that follows a like hunter-gatherer guy. He's like a trader, and he travels around to like the lower villages, and you get to see his perspective with like what they call them, the lake people, who live at the bottom of this mountain. And he has his own storyline, which is really, really great, kind of heartbreaking, but they do end up converging. So definitely pick this up. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. I'm super excited to pick up the second book. I've heard that it changes a lot from the first book to the second book, and I'm still excited to read it. I know Brittany from Books with Brittany has read it. She loved the first book. I think she gave it like 5 stars, but she DNF'd the second book. And it makes me nervous, but I'm definitely going to check it out and gonna try to read it. I really like R.A. Salvatore's writing style, so I'll definitely be picking up more books by him too. The next book that I managed to read in the month of March was The Poppy War, which I gave like 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I'm not going to talk too much about it because Friday I have an entire review going up of this book. It will be spoiler free in the beginning and then spoiler filled at the end, but this is heavy, and not in the fact that it's thick. It is thick, but it's heavy material wise. It's got every trigger warning you can think of. Sexual assault, it's got violence, drug use, gore, like everything you can think of this book has, even more so than Child of a Mad God. And that's because it is actually based on a true event that happened during World War II in the Pacific Theater, which is called the Rape of Nanjing, I believe. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering it. But definitely a very good book. We follow this girl named Rin, who is a war orphan that wants to go to this very prestigious military academy. And it sounds like it's just going to be like a school setting, right? Well, no, that's only the first third of the book. And then the second third of the book, you're thrust into actual war. And then the third third of the book, you are just in the shit of it. And it is like the real cost and effect of war and what it does. And it's dirty and it's gritty. And there's questionable morals and mistakes are made and shit happens. And pick this up. Basically what I'm saying is it's great and it's gory and it's violent and it speaks to me, and I really, really love this book. So be on the lookout for my full review that I'm going to be doing of this, and pick it up because I'm going to be getting Dragon Republic soon, and I'm excited for Burning God to come out, which is the third book in this series. If you have made it this far, you are going to see my favorite book that I read this month, and that is my 5-star book, and that is Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I actually have Words of Radiance on order, like on delivery. It's supposed to be here Monday, last time I checked the tracking. So I'm super excited. I'm gonna like read more of it, but this was so good. I mean, it's thick. It took a lot of my reading time this month, so it's a very, very large book. We follow multiple characters from lots of different perspectives. There's 4 main perspectives, but you still get scenes from minor characters' perspective as well, and it's got multiple settings. It is so good. Brandon Sanderson's world building in this is just amazing. He builds this world that you can really see and really grasp, and the characters are amazing. Some of them are morally gray, some of them are super likable. There's some really great twists and turns in this, and I just can't wait to see what happens in the next book, because I love Sanderson's writing. I don't think I've read a Sanderson book that I haven't really enjoyed, so there's that. I might be a little biased. He's like my favorite author, but I feel like this is like the crown jewel of his writing accomplishments, because as much as I love Mistborn, I think this might top it because it's so good. Like, I love Kaladin and Dalinar and Shallan. Like, these are just super great characters that you just get behind and you're rooting for, and it's just, you want to see good things happen, and sometimes bad things happen, so that's hard. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful world. And this is not dark and gritty like the other 2 books. This is just very high and epic fantasy, but it is not dark and gritty like the rest of the books that I just talked about. All right, well, that is everything I read in the 7-year-long month of March. Hopefully you enjoyed this, stuck around to the end. If you did, let me know which one of these is your favorites and what books that you read in March. As always, I am Jessie. Thank you for hanging out with me. Be sure to give me a follow, hit the notification bell. I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll see you later. Bye.